Alright, what's good YouTube? It's your boy Strcuture here, and today I'm bringing you guys a kind of like a weekly trade breakdown, like a trade breakdown for the week basically. So I only took two positions this week actually, one today, one this morning, and one yesterday. So it was Nas100 and EUR USD. But first things first, I want to definitely apologize. It's been a month since I last uploaded, but to be honest, I just been having a lot of things behind the scene that y'all do not care about. And not to mention, it's also Q4 as well. Like it's just, if you don't know about Q4, just understand that it's the toughest time of the year to trade because of the holidays. Yeah, it's just tough to trade. A lot of manipulation. The setups aren't like they won't respect zones. A lot of liquidity grabs, a lot of manipulation, but that's why I haven't really been like trading or like been active on my channel, just because it's been kind of hard to actually be able to upload, just because of the fact that, again, we're in Q4 and I don't really trade much during Q4, and if I do trade during Q4, I only get like a one-on-one and that's it. But without that being said, without further ado, let's get into the trade breakdowns, because like I said, if you haven't been following me on Instagram, you'll see that I post these setups, except for the Euro USD one. I didn't post that one today. But I hope that my students been having good weeks as well. So let's do the NAS setup first, and then I will do the Euro USD setup, because like I said, I'm 2 for 2, well 2-0 this week. I only took two setups and won both of them. Like I said, Q4 is hard to trade because it's just a lot of like manipulation. A lot of setups don't get respected. So let's get into it. So I woke up around like 8:30, and I had to basically, like, if you live in New York, you understand my struggle of like going downstairs every day to like go move your car and all that stuff. So my car was in a 9 o'clock spot. Okay, so this was around the time when I was downstairs. Now I came back to the charts, it was around like 9:20. So I noticed that off the 5-minute, this was a demand zone right here. But the weird thing about it was that I noticed that it already, if you look at the time, it's 8:30 once price hit the demand zone. And then I also noticed that up here was liquidity. Okay, if you haven't watched my liquidity video, go back and watch it. And I noticed that there was a gap here that still had to fill. Like, the market have to come back there and fill, even up here as well. These candles right there did not have a pullback, so the market have to come back up there to fill. So this was at 9:25. Now, when I came back upstairs and I came back to the charts, like after I had all my zones marked up, I'm naturally looking for buys because of the areas to fill on this side. And even up here, like, this is more liquidity sitting up there. But once stock exchange opened, like, it just blasted through the zone. It grabbed liquidity, okay? And it also filled in the areas. But the thing is, like, where do we get in? Because there's no, like, it just left us basically. So I had marked off this key area right here. I had marked off this key area because this is a potential area where price might kind of like pull back down to and give us a second entry. But as price is kind of like shooting up, I also noticed that on the 15-minute, price pushed up very hard because we were approaching like a 15-minute supply. Then I went to the 1 hour, and then I noticed that price is failing to close above a resistance. So at this point, I'm kind of telling myself, like, okay, this might be a position for us to sell, because we grab liquidity and we're blasting through a key resistance, which it might be a support to shoot to the upside. But when you look on the 15-minute, what we're really doing is just prices hitting this supply, because as you can see here, price still didn't, the supply, it didn't get pulled back into, like this, it didn't pull back into the supply. So this is still a valid supply from basically a day before. So once on the 5-minute, we kind of got one rejection, two rejection, I told myself, I basically told myself, okay, we should be breaking structure, because to the downside because we're expecting well, not we're expecting, but we're hitting a 15-minute supply. So this was basically my my confluences for the trade. We were hitting a 1 hour resistance because, as you guys can see, price failed to close above, and then on the 15-minute we were hitting a supply. Okay, and then not to mention this entire candle has to get filled, and then all of this down here, like this is all liquidity because like these swing lows right here, all of that, like this is all liquidity sitting down there because retail are buying. Even though yes, we're pushing up aggressively with as far as like the demand zone, but remember this is Q4 and is in full effect. Okay, so once this candle broke below the previous bearish candle, that's when I got in. So now my coordinates was that, and then my stop loss was sitting right above there. So I was risking I was risking about 29 pips because like I said, price just failed to push above there. So I was risking 29 pips, and I just got my regular 1-to-1. And as you can see, once I entered the trade, like I was just in zero drawdown. Now, one of my key rules that I actually updated my trading plan with, as far as Q4, is that during Q4, I only like to go for a 1-to-1, just because, again, like I said, if you are a beginner and you haven't been trading during Q4, like if this is your first Q4, so if it's your first Q4, you will notice like there's a lot of manipulation, a lot of setups don't get respected, a lot of zones don't get respected. You're always gonna be like a part of liquidity, because I think we're trading like with robots. A lot of investors aren't really in the market, but once it broke below, I got in for the sell. And like I just said, one of my main rules is I only go for a 1-to-1, because you have, like, when you're trading Q4, you'll notice that you have a higher win percentage rather than trying to like get your 1-to-1, move your stop loss to break even, and then leave a runner. So it's just one of my personal rules that I actually just uploaded on my trading plan. I updated on my trading plan. And then yeah, like literally it pulled back, which I actually did enter again. Once it kind of pulled back a little bit, once it kind of pulled back and started filling in that order, I ended up adding a second position, which I didn't get like a much better risk to reward, but that was the trading. That was the Nas setup. Like it was just okay. We were hitting a 15-minute supply, a 1 hour resistance, which price did not want to close above. Now, not for nothing, when it did hit this key area right here, I was a little skeptical, because my intention was, like I just stated at the beginning of this video, that I wanted to, because of the fact that New York Stock Exchange just left us, like you can see this was a strong push. Just because it left us, I was expecting price to basically push back down into the key area, reject, and continue to the upside. But that wasn't the case, because this candle, obviously the body of the candle, closed below the zone. And this is what I mean about how Q4 disrespects like a lot of zones. Now you could have been a little greedy, because you see how it kind of you see how it just kept pushing down. Like now that I'm looking at it, these swing highs right here, this was also like a minor level of support, which was broken through. But now you can kind of see how it's rejecting. But this is what I mean about Q4. Like your zones just completely get disrespected. Now retail, they're buying right here. Okay, they're buying, and then all of a sudden they just instantly get destroyed. And then, as you guys can see, that this next bearish candle also closed below the zone, and then from there price just kind of kept like playing around. Like it was kind of like ranging in between the demand zone and this now resistance. It was kind of just like ranging, and then next thing you know, it just kind of like broke below. And if you really want to be technical, this is actually, it's kind of like a demand mixed with a support. Which again, like all these zones are still valid. It's just you can see how quickly everything is being disrespected. Now, once it got back into this area, this is 10:55. Like I'm not a greedy trader, because I already caught my pips. But you could have re-entered once a candle broke below. which this was actually a valid setup, but I think it ended up going against you. Yeah, it went against you. Like, that was actually a valid setup, but this is what I mean. This is what I mean about Q4, and about how, like, your zones don't get, like, respected. You're a part of liquidity a lot of the time, because in a normal quarter, that would have just continued down to the downside. Q1, 2, 3, it would have guaranteed just continued to the downside, because this swing low right here is liquidity as well. So it would have continued to go into the downside. But that was the Nas trade. I forget how much I made. It was just a small win, just because, again, I just got my 1-on-1. But like I said, everything's on my Instagram. If you guys do not follow me already, my Instagram is in the video in the corner. Cookie_FX trading. So please go give me a follow. But let's get to the EUR USD setup, because the EUR USD setup was just clean today, and it was on a Friday too. So first things first, I noticed that the DXY was super bearish. Normally, when the DXY is bearish, normally USD currency pairs are bullish. They tend to have bullish days. When the DXY is bullish, the US dollar currency pairs tend to be bearish. So let's get into it. Okay, let's take all this off so that I can really walk you through the setup. Okay, so when I came to the chart, because in reality I was really looking at EUR USD. Nas100. Nas100 was just kind of like, I don't know what it was doing today. It was kind of like ranging. I mean, it gave you like a little supply setup right here. This was a valid supply. Came back, tapped into that area, to then push back down. So this was a valid supply. I mean, I could have taken it, but then again, it's Friday. There's a lot of fake outs. So I was focused on EUR USD. Now, when I came to the chart, it was about 9:45. So I had noticed that we were at a supply. Okay, we have aggressive selling, pulls back into that area to push back down. And I noticed that this is demand right here. This one candle is demand. Now, if you are having trouble seeing demand on the 5-minute, the 15-minute, I learned that you're better off going to the 1 hour. You see how this is just consecutive bullish candles? This is supply. We have aggressive buying out of there. So once I identified that, okay, we have aggressive buying, this was a kind of setup that I was kind of like iffy to kind of get more than a 1-to-1, just because, as you can see, the banks are selling up here, but then they're also buying down here. So yeah, that was it. Like, that was the setup. And then I have my moving averages in confluence. Okay, I have, the 200 is the price is rejecting the 200 off of the supply, but then we're also rejecting the 13 off the buy. The 15-minute wasn't really showing me much. It wasn't really showing me much other than just the fact that this swing high right up here is liquidity. The 1 hour, same thing. It wasn't really showing me much other than just like areas to fill, but once we pushed up, it filled it in already. So that was it. Like, it was just buying off of demand once candles started to break, and then the fact that we have liquidity here. Now, like I just mentioned in my Nas100 trade breakdown, one of my rules for Q4 is to only go for a 1-to-1. But being that this is EUR USD, I kind of wanted to be a little like greedy in a way, even though I just said I'm not a greedy trader. But it's EUR USD, and EUR USD, it doesn't move that much. So so this next candle broke above. Okay, I'm sorry for the car outside. It broke above. Once it broke above, we got in, and my target was originally the supply area. And as you can see, it was a 1-to-2 risk to reward. I was only risking 8 pips to make basically 20 pips. Now I would have held it to the liquidity, but again, like, this is supply. Like, we are moving with the banks. Okay, like, okay, we're really looking for the buy, because the buy is the real move. But then again, like, bearish orders also started in this zone as well. So my initial target was just for it to hit the supply. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys saw what ended up happening. Like, price just ripped. And once it got up here, as you can see, like, we're moving with momentum. Like, once it got up there, my stop loss is at break even, and we were risk free. And then of course, as you can see, take profit did get hit, and it just kept going as well. It kind of did pull back a little bit, and then it finally grabbed what they wanted, which was the liquidity. And this is what I mean. Like, it's Friday, it's Q4. There's a lot of fake outs. So yeah, like it was just I didn't want to. I wanted to be basically safe than sorry. Just because, say if I tried to like hold it up there, like, yeah, I am risk free, but like I'm the type that I like to just catch my pips and go. So yeah, that was basically the trade breakdown. Like, as you can see, once we're kind of pushing up with some momentum, you can see that we're rejecting off the 200 and the 13 EMA. So and we're buying right off of demand, so we know we're moving with the banks. That was it. Like, it was literally a 5-minute analysis, and I just glanced at the 15-minute and the 1 hour, and then I obviously checked the 1 minute, because like I said, this is demand off the 1 minute. As you can see, price finally hit back once we got in, and that was it. But like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, excuse my absence. Like I said, I just had a lot of behind the scenes thing that y'all do not care about. I went to a real estate event in Tampa. You know, just a lot of behind the scenes stuff that I don't bring to YouTube. But yeah, I hope you guys learned something from this. My trading style is just very simple. Like, the way my mentor taught me to trade is very simple. You're just waiting for price to hit key areas, and once it starts breaking candle highs, you're in, and that's it. But like I said, I hope you guys learned something from this video. With that being said, please like, comment, subscribe, and if you don't already, follow me on Instagram, because like I said, I post my results on Instagram. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you guys learned something. With that being said, I'm out.